for folks attending the webinar, we're just doing a minute or two to get settled before we do introductions. My name is Cynthia. I'm from the Highland Park Public Library. I'm joined by Natalie from Glencoe Library and Erin from Highland Park. Erin will be tonight's moderator, welcoming the McElroys. So exciting.
Hi.
Can they see us? Are we on? No? Can they see? Hi, everybody. I don't know. If you can see us, hi.
How's my hair, everybody?
Wow,
glorious,
absolutely
man.
out of control.
They can see us. Oh, that's so nice. We were just talking about if you were going to do a Muppets adaptation of a classic work, what it would be.
Yeah. Thinking
and
Valley of the Dolls.
well, you would also have to. You also have to include in your answer who, like, the one or two human beings would be. Aaron had said Muppets Pride and Prejudice, and I think if you did like Mr. Darcy and Elizabeth, is that it? Yeah,
Yeah,
Lizzie.
sure.
Yeah, as humans, you could get away with everybody else, or Mr. Bingley and Jane as humans, and then you could have Kermit and Miss Piggy as Lizzie and Mr. Darcy.
Maybe for the remainder of this public library focused event, we should avoid referencing classic literary works so as to not reveal how little we know.
Speak for yourself, dude. I read, man. I'm at the libraries. I love them. They're not just for periodicals. You know what I mean? You can find classic works of literature. And listen, we all love going through microfilm of old newspapers. Yeah. Of course we do.
Catalogs full of cards.
Yeah.
Right. Stuff's written on them.
And they love when you rearrange it. Yeah, they're wild about that.
They love that. Librarians are good people.
Do they love organizing? Do we?
Oh, that's really good.
That's a library joke. You librarians, you guys can use that if you want to.
That's a great one. We also have video games, movies. Some libraries do board games.
Most of the first time, like my first time watches of Mel Brooks movies were ones that I rented from our local library. It's the only time I've ever seen a copy of 12 Chairs. Mel Brooks's very dramatic, like turn of the century comedy about Russia. Not a huge hit at the Blockbuster, but there was a copy at my local library.
Oh, thank you, Helena. Helena thinks my hair looks great. That was very nice of her.
Don't encourage him.
No, I've turned a corner on this because enough people have told me that I look like Dad. But now when he gets compliments, I'm like, oh man, 50, 60 years from now when I'm Dad's age, I'm going to be right in there getting those compliments.
Okay.
Do you think you'll still dye your hair when you're Dad's age?
I stopped dyeing my hair for a couple of months because I was waiting for the gray to come in, and I didn't have enough gray, so I started dyeing it again.
I got plenty. If you want to borrow some of mine. No, Hoops is not going to be able to join us today. He is nursing an eyeball injury, which is a true fact. I think we should leave
Griffin's being polite.
We should leave it to him. No, we should leave it to him to tell the story someday of what happened to his eye. But don't say anything now because that's Justin's story to share. But folks,
I'm not up to date on Taskmaster. I don't know how many. We've watched episode 9 of the current season. That's where I'm at.
I finished it last night. Great season.
It is a good season.
Mad Cat.
Hoops was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mantzoukas was great. I thought everybody was great. I thought it was a solid cast, and they all got along really well. Apparently, I saw a thing with Stevie Martin where she was talking about like somebody on staff or like production had told them like they were the closest cast ever, and like they ate lunch together every day, and they were like the only cast to ever do that.
I love that. Oh, Aaron's back.
Yes, my sincerest apologies. Firefox was not my friend. So forgive me for what I missed, but welcome.
Just talking about my hair.
It was all filler.
British.
It was all filler. Yeah.
Awesome. So, Welcome, everyone, to the third program connected to the adult services side of the Highland Park Public Library Summer Reading Club. When we first learned that the theme for the Midwest Public Library's summer reading was going to be level up at your library, and the iconography was of participating artists was going to be heavily game-related, we got excited. When one of our staff recognized that one of the participating illustrators was Carrie Peach, illustrator of the graphic novel series version of The Adventure Zone, several staff, all of whom are fans of our guests' work, had the same thought. What if we made the ask? So after contacting the boys and working things out, voila. They were kind enough to join us in this virtual space tonight. One quick bit of bookkeeping. Unfortunately, one of our guests, Justin, could not make it this evening as something unplanned came up that has prevented him from joining us. We wish him well.
I already said it's an eyeball injury. You do not have to be cagey about it. I appreciate you trying to protect his privacy, but his eyeball. I feel like it sounds serious enough that no one's going to be bummed out. It's his eyeball, folks.
It's his eyeball.
It's his eyeball. He's only got 2 of those.
Well, we wish him a speedy recovery to both his eyeballs.
One of them's fine.
One of them's okay.
One of them's fine.
Yeah, don't waste it on that one.
Save your thoughts and prayers for Lefty. The right one.
It's all cosmetic, I think. So I don't want too many thoughts and prayers going his way. You know what I mean? Because some people have real problems. That's all I'm saying.
Fair. So tonight will be a bit of a Q&A moderated by me, Aaron Robb, a librarian here at the Highland Park Public Library, followed by a Q&A with questions from our audience via the chat function. We will get to what questions we can, given the time permitting. With that, before I forget, special thanks to Glencoe Public Library who partnered with us to make this a reality.
And special thanks to Glen Powell Public Library.
I'm sorry. My apologies.
Library dedicated completely to Glen Powell. Thank you.
Glencoe, Evanston, and Deerfield. Again, you guys are awesome. And also the libraries are awesome. We are exceptionally thrilled to welcome our guests tonight. The McElroys are much of this may be familiar to many of you, but for those of you in our audience who are not familiar, our guests are a multi-talented family of creatives, writers, performers, and so on, who, among their many other podcasts and projects, produce a jaw-dropping number of informative, helpful, thoughtful, and entertaining podcasts. They even wrote a fantastic book about producing podcasts entitled Everybody Has a Podcast Except You. It's a great resource for anyone interested in launching their own. The McElroys are the creators and co-hosts of the Adventure Zone podcast, which is a sort of Dungeons and Dragons real play campaign in podcast form. Has earned a legion of loyal fans and followers, building from their success from their many other podcast productions. Since its launch in 2014, they have produced hundreds of hours of recorded story content, and starting in 2018, the first campaign has been adapted into a multi-volume, multi-New York Times best-selling list of graphic novel series. The first volume, Here There Be Gerblins, became the first graphic novel to reach #1 in the New York Times paperback trade fiction bestsellers list. That is a mouthful. Let's see.
Well, the great thing is if you hit the list at all, you can just say New York Times bestseller.
Yeah, man.
No one asks any follow-up questions after you say that. You'd be like, trade paperback.
Justin's not here. He always insists that people do stress #1 bestseller. It doesn't bother me, but Justin will butt in. Justin will butt in and be like #1, and it's like, whoa, man, calm down. You know what I mean? It's really tasteless.
In no specific order, our guests are Clint McElroy. I will get it right eventually.
That's fine.
It's totally interchangeable.
Either one works. Yeah.
Who had a 45-year career in the broadcasting industry, fathered our other guests tonight. In addition to co-hosting the Adventure Zone podcast, with his sons. He has also written numerous comics for Marvel, and most recently wrote a children's book, Goldie's Guide to Grandchilding. Travis McElroy is a podcaster, actor, University of Oklahoma graduate with a BFA in acting. He has served as an actor and technical director at the Cincinnati Shakespeare Company and a New York best-selling author. He is best known for being a full-time podcaster with shows including Trends Like These, Schmanners, Chasing Immortality, and most notably, like his brothers and father, My Brother, and I, and The Adventure Zone. I should add the pop culture notoriety of the McElroy brothers have earned them roles in productions such as Trolls World Tour movie and other similar features. And also we have Griffin McElroy. He is a producer, writer, editor, composer, and former video game journalist. Once more, like his brothers, he is also known for co-hosting the podcast My Brother, and Me, The Adventure Zone, and Wonderful, as well as his YouTube series Monster Factory. In addition to co-authoring Everybody Has a Podcast Except You, he has written several comics, including War of the Realms, Journey into Mystery for Marvel, and Sonic the Hedgehog 30th Anniversary Celebration for IDW. Griffin was included in the Forbes 30 Under 30 in Media List in 2017 and has several voice acting credits, including, again, Trolls World Tour, The Mitchells and the Machines, awesome, and many others. Welcome, gentlemen. Again, thank you for sharing your time with us.
Oh, looks like we're out of time, man.
Yeah, that's it. When you lay it all out
It's very thorough.
like that. It's
Hey,
just,
God bless everybody.
You did miss Aaron. Justin and I were also supposed to be in Mitchell's versus the Machines, but robots took our jobs. So
that's true, which is fitting and meta narrative that I really can't get enough of.
For our audience who may not be familiar with the backstory, how did the Adventure Zone come about?
So we had been doing My Brother, and Me. That was our sort of original flagship show. Actually, Justin and I started doing the Joystick podcast, which was a video game website from forever ago. But My Brother, and Me was me and Justin and Travis, and we had been doing it since 2010. And Justin and his wife Sydney were expecting their first child, and we wanted to, batch record some episodes to give him a bit of a break. And so one of the things that we kind of came up with recording was to play the Lost Mines of Phandelver beginner box adventure for D&D 5th edition, which had pretty recently come out at that point. I had a fierce interest in playing it because I'd been writing about 5th edition D&D on the news beat at Polygon, the video game website that me and Justin helped co-found and I used to write news for. And so it just sounded really great. It sounded very not reliant on, a board and mini figs, and they don't call them mini figs. That's a Lego
mini
thing,
figs.
But,
tiny figs. It's also important to note at that point, Griffin and I don't know if I've ever asked Justin if he did, but we had been fans of Penny Arcade's Acquisitions Incorporated.
Yeah.
Which they played, I think, once a year or whenever they were able to at PAX shows. And so, I think that was a great introduction to us of playing D&D as a comedy.
Show.
Like a comedy kind of venue, and not just you're in a cave and you fight a dragon,
right?
But it can be a good vehicle for jokes.
But we weren't planning on making it a show. It was just going to be an episode or two that we released while Juice took some time off with their baby, and the response to it was bananas. And so we kind of put feelers out there, is this something you all would want us to keep doing? And the response was so emphatically yes that we couldn't pretend we didn't see it, so we wouldn't have to do more work. It was so undeniable that people wanted us to do more of it, and so we ended up sort of spinning it off into its own show and started doing it. I think weekly for a while until we started to get a little bit further in, and the writing got a little bit more involved, and started doing music for it. Then it was bi-weekly for a while, and we did that for 3 years. That was the first season.
Very cool. One of the over the last decade or two, with the rise of real play, D&D, or scripted and unscripted D&D podcasts, or streaming things like the Adventure Zone or Critical Role and so forth. I and others have tried to talk numerous friends of ours to give these real play shows a try, but a lot of the reluctance I've found has come from there's just so much content to get caught up on.
Sure.
And one of the things that I really have appreciated about the graphic novel has been it's this great onboarding tool to get people to give this D&D thing a try, or at least to like be in the know of what everyone's talking about. Where did the idea of translating the podcast into a graphic novel come from, and what was that process like?
Correct me if I'm wrong, like you guys always do, but I believe a good guy named Charlie Olson contacted us and wondered if we had ever considered adapting the Adventure Zone into a graphic novel. And we started talking to him about it and kind of formulated some ideas. And
coincidentally, at the same time, my wife and I were expecting, and Griffin and his wife were expecting, and we're like, "Oh, I don't know, man. I don't know if we're gonna have time for a new project."
Yeah. When Justin was about to and City were about to have their baby, we were like, let's batch record some stuff so you could have some time off. And then when Travis and I went through a similar experience, we were like, let's take a big bite of the publishing apple. It's time. Sorry, Dad. Go ahead.
No, that's all right. No, and they put us in touch with the folks at Macmillan, with First Second Publishing, Callista Brill, and all the great folks. And it was just kind of started formulating. I think things really kind of clicked in when we hooked up with Carrie Peach.
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of started taking visual form. And the next thing you know, Justin's bragging about being number one on the bestseller list.
Yeah, every time.
Every single time.
I think it was such an easy sell for us because we had and continue to have like a really active sort of like artistic part of our listenership, which is not unique to the Adventure Zone, but it is fairly unique, I think, to the like actual play space where we are improvising stories in a purely audio medium. And so people really kind of like enjoyed filling in the gaps with their own kind of like artistic interpretations. And Carrie had collaborated with a few other folks on a zine to raise money for charity of the Adventure Zone characters. And so like we had that as like, oh, this could totally work. This could absolutely work. Carrie did a poster for us. It's actually one of the posters right behind me on my wall for one of our Taz live shows. So when we met at a Panera Bread in Boston, like it was one conversation. We were like, this is
it. I think it's important to credit Ben Wilgus too, who worked as an editor on it. And Ben and Carrie both, like, they were so dialed in to Adventure Zone and stuff. And the first graphic novel, I remember it was like a year and a half of phone calls once a week, sometimes like 3 hours long, discussing like very detailed, like, how are we going to do this, this moment, what's this going to look like, how are we going to treat this character, because they cared so much about like the story and the characters and everything. And everybody, I think, on the team was really dedicated to like doing it justice and getting it right. That like sometimes it would be like one moment, like what would end up being like a 2-page spread would get talked about for like an hour and a half
forever
to get it right.
Okay. What has been like one of the most surprising things about the success of the Adventure Zone, and what might you attribute the rocketing success of people either listening to or watching um, other people play D&D when that might seem intuitively off?
I think as far as the most surprising thing, it like sometimes when we're doing it, except for notable occasions when we're doing like tours and live shows, it's just like the four of us on the phone. There's no like crowd reacting to things. And so it's really easy in our minds for the things that stick are like the moments where we make each other laugh. And it's like, yeah, it's funny. Oh, that was a great moment. Oh, that killed me. And then you talk to people at like conventions and stuff, and they talk about like the emotional moments that they had and the impact that, that the show has had on them and what it's meant to them and everything. And I think for me, it's been really pleasantly surprising anytime that happens to be reminded that, like, even though sometimes it can just feel like a silly, stupid, goofy thing that we do, that it means something to people. And I think that it's also much different from my brother and me, because Adventure Zone is so narrative. And I think that allows for people to like find their own things in it and moments that mean something to them or lines that resonate with them, based on like their interpretation of how it goes, as opposed to just a straight up comedy show like my brother and me. But as far as like why actual play and stuff has resonated with people, I think it's because the nature of it's really easy, especially online, to feel disconnected and to feel like, um even in a world filled with billions of people, that you're like by yourself. And not everybody is able to find groups of people to consistently get together and like play games with and hang out with and joke with and everything. And I think seeing people get together, build a story together, share these moments together, and connect on that level it's fun, it's funny, and like I think people like the stories because you can watch them getting made up as you go, right? You're seeing them, like the cast react to them, you're hearing the moment land, but you're also like being reminded of that, like there is connection in the world and people get together and have fun, and you get to feel like a part of that. And I think that that's really special.
I would say a surprising thing that kind of comes through whenever we do conventions or panels or anything like that, where we get to actually, meet folks who listen to our stuff, is that there is like a pretty big contingent of our audience who is, I would say, younger than the original intended audience of our program. We work pretty blue. In fact, we've been on the air for 24 minutes now, and we have not done a single cuss, as far as I can tell. And you can ask our editor Rachel, or our business manager Amanda, or any of the people that we work with that listened to one of our more recent seasons of Adventure Zone called Abnormals, which was our family-friendly, kid-friendly season, where we still cussed a lot and had to get caught in the sort of, we had like 3 different redundancies of drag nets to catch our profanity. And so, like, I don't know, it genuinely, every time we do some sort of live event, we always have, kids, 8, 9, 10 years old. Like my son's age, my oldest son, Henry, is 8. And it is surprising to me, but it is also like so delightful,
Yeah.
because there wasn't this obviously D&D existed when we were kids. We didn't play it. We didn't really play until we started making the show. But this medium didn't really exist. The like actual play podcast didn't exist when we were kids. And I think it's like, not to this is not me tooting our own horn as much as it is tooting the horn of the entire genre. I guess it's a really cool thing and a really powerful thing for young folks who are maybe just getting into fantasy, or are really into fantasy and haven't found that story that they're looking for, or whatever. And it's genuinely the greatest sort of honor of our career, that we have so many like young folks who come up and tell us like how much they care about our work and how much it's sort of like shaped their interest. That is, it's still surprising to me, but I'm exceedingly grateful for it.
And just to clarify, there was no play at our house. There was no fun at our house.
Yes,
in
sir.
between bowls
Sorry,
of gruel.
Sorry, yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get that straight. Go on, Aaron.
Well, what you guys are touching on right now is one thing that I've always found fascinating about both as a player of Dungeons and Dragons and a watcher of shows like yours and others, is how the stories can be incredibly can resonate with me or resonate with an audience on a deeper level and and in some cases help you work through something that you didn't know you needed to work through. Like I know people who have worked through their own grief through an adventure where their character had to face the mortality of another character or the mortality of themselves and resurrection and so on. And it doesn't even have to be anything quite that deep, but just working through something that they didn't necessarily know that they wanted to or needed to. Have you observed something like that with your fans, or have you experienced that yourselves in terms of what you're willing to share with the public? I mean, yes, not as a substitute for therapy, certainly not, but in terms of an avenue for self-discovery.
A fun interactive supplement to therapy, you could call it.
Precisely.
I think it's the nature of role-playing games in general that you can't not do that, because I think that even if you're in character and you're trying to make decisions that the character would make, right, you're still the one who's saying the lines and like making the choices, and those things, whatever you're thinking about or going through or whatever's a part of you, it's a part of you, right? Like that's a facet of your own mind. So as you're making those decisions and making those choices and everything, it's gonna bleed through. I don't know that at least I've never heard of somebody who's like sitting down to play D&D thinking, "Oh man, I'm gonna churn up so much of my own grief today." It's just like you're doing it, right? And like a moment will hit you and you're like, "Oh, I didn't even realize like that's where it was heading." Like, but man, it just caught me by surprise. Like for any character I've played, no matter how different they are, ends up having some element of impulse control issues because I have ADHD. And so like my character choices are like, "Yeah, do it." And then I'm like, "Oh no." It's like
if you could reliably pretend to not sort of like wander off, then you would be able to, you would be a different person sort
I've
of
solved
entirely.
ADHD.
Right, exactly.
Right. Like, oh, all I have to do is not do that. Ah, of course. And so it just happens, and I think it sneaks up on you. And I think that, people joke about like D&T and stuff as therapy a lot. I think it is a good way to be like, ooh, maybe there's something I need to talk to a therapist about that only now I've touched a live wire that I didn't realize I had. That's a great indication of like, it's time to talk to somebody.
I've definitely leaned on some like some stuff that I struggle with when specifically for like the seasons that I have GM'd. We've done like, I don't know, 10, 8, 9, 10, a lot of seasons at this point. And I've run a few of them. And so like Taz Balance was very much about sort of like, I don't know, overcoming nihilist sort of tendencies. And I mean, Ether Sea was very, very, very much about, climate anxiety. And I don't know, I feel like I always do kind of like put that stuff in the sauce. I put it on the pizza because it's I think a helpful thing to be able to sort of talk about, but I also think it's sweet grist for the mill.
Yeah, man, you're gonna be thinking about it anyways. Why not use it?
Yeah, sure. There's a little bit of what is it, cinema verite at that point, except not at all cinema because it is still a podcast.
Podcasta verite, as they say.
We also like hear from a lot of folks about, specifically like Taz helped them through a tough time. We heard that a lot around the years 2020 to 2025. Like,
oh my God, that was the same time as
current.
COVID,
yeah, right around the same time COVID hit.
And just some other not worth mentioning bad stuff that happened after that.
So yeah, we have definitely gotten that feedback from our audience too, which like I think has empowered us to not shy away from tackling that stuff, because there's a I think a part of the audience that wants that from the show.
So taking a pause from the deep stuff for a moment, as a librarian, I feel compelled to ask this question to every guest I have. What are you guys currently reading, watching, listening to, or are hyper-focused when not working? Again, I'm a librarian. I have to ask this.
I'm so glad you've asked, Aaron. I have been absolutely ensorcelled by a new series by my favorite fantasy author, Robert Jackson Bennett, author of the Divine Cities trilogy, the Foundry Side trilogy, I think it's called, has last year published the first part of a new fantasy series that is also a classic detective Sherlock-style murder mystery.
What's this called?
Oh, I thought like Teresa was trying to talk to you in the
No. That's just right up my alley. I don't know the name of this book.
I definitely have recommended it to all of you guys, and no one's listened to me yet. So hopefully the listeners of this panel will. The first book is called The Tainted Cup, and it is such a pain.
This is the first time hearing about this.
Yeah, okay. Me too. I haven't. Yeah.
It rules. It's like set in this fantasy world where kaiju occasionally wander out of the ocean to attack humanity, so they've had to build these big walls, but the monster blood has turned the plants all crazy, and people have infused themselves with powers from the monster blood, and it's like set in this world that like otherwise could just be its own sort of like fantasy story, but then it really narrows in the focus on like solving a murder in this really, really very cool world. I think the second book in the series just came out, but I'm still in the first, and I cannot put it down. It's called The Tainted Cup. I recommend anything by Robert Jackson Bennett. I think all of his stuff is so good.
I about halfway through January listened to the first book, Louise Penny's Inspector Gamache series. Listened to the first one and proceeded to listen to the remaining, I think, 18 books. I think she's got 19 in the Inspector Gamache series so far. I listened to all of those in about 3 months. Could not put them down. It's, if you like Poirot, I think it's very Agatha Christie in like kind of feeling, but modern Canada with a detective who is the best. And like the relationships between characters. If you're someone like me who loves when people become friends in stuff and love like seeing people like I like sacrifice for each other and be there for each other and have like emotional openness with each other, the Inspector Gamache books are great. I have also been, I'm trying to remember, Davis Morgan, a YouTube channel that I've been watching a lot of, and he talks about like horror books and short stories and like SCP stuff and just a lot of like creepypasta, and it's a lot of stuff that I missed when it was coming on, and like he like reviews it and talks about what happens in it. And also Department Q on Netflix, a great detective show in the vein of like Slow Horses and stuff like that.
Just a bunch of detective perverts.
Yeah, I like creepy detective mysteries. Yeah.
I always, and the boys will attest to it, I always have like a stack of books, and I'm always reading different stuff. That's why I have like 500 unfinished books. But I just recently discovered a new series that I love by Tom Holt called Savis Corax. That's the name of the series.
That sounds like the most Clint McElroy book title I've ever heard in my life.
Here's the rest of the title. Savis Corax deals with the dead.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, for sure.
Man. It's a dark fantasy, but it's told from the first person, and Savis is this crook and a coward. It reminds me so much of another favorite series, which was the Flashman series by Frazier. And it's just any I love to read about anti-heroes.
Sorry, you've given Aaron some sort of conniption.
Oh no.
Do you need medical?
Are you okay?
Oh, no. He's happy. I think that's happy. We so rarely see it.
I am an immense fan of the Flashman series.
Yeah. They're
but
good.
Is there a murder in it? I guess that's my question.
Great.
But do they get solved? Is it like, is that a detective murder or just random boring murder?
And as for TV, I'm also hooked on Department Q. I think it's
so good.
Really brilliant. Of course, Taskmaster, working our way through the new season. And for some reason, my wife and I have gotten hooked on NCIS.
Oh,
well,
wow,
it's I think when you reach a certain age, you're legally required to watch NCIS. I think is what happens.
You're pushing 70. It is sort of prescribed at this point.
Okay, how's this? Poker Face. I love Poker Face.
Poker Face is great,
dude.
Also check out School Spirits, everybody. If you're looking for a show that has like spooky mysteries, a very a very Stranger Things feel. School Spirits is great. Yeah, Teresa and I binged all the existing episodes. It's so good. Milo Manheim is in it, and we here in the McElroy household are big Zombies fans, and he's so good in it. Check out School Spirits. It's so good.
I've also been watching Murderbot, which has been really fun.
Yes.
I just started reading those books earlier this year, and I'm like 4 or 5 books in, and that was right around when the TV show came out, and it's great.
I'm off dark to put the plug in to please watch School Spirits so we can get a season 3.
Please, everybody, please. It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, I am also obsessed with Murderbot, both the book series and the TV series. I love that it is a perfect thing of a perfect analog for being Nero spicy.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, you've reminded me to download episodes for the plane ride. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So
now I don't want to watch Stick. I want to watch Murderbot. Stupid Apple TV. Who wants to watch Stick? Sorry.
It's all right. It's all good. So between the Adventure Zone podcast and your other live shows, you guys play a lot of RPGs. Do you guys have your own home games, or is that like bringing your homework with you?
Yes. We get this question a lot. I think a lot of the Q&As we do, and the answer, I always worry, makes us sound
like posers,
like fake fans.
Yes.
Travis has played a little bit of some home games, but I genuinely don't have a group. I moved to DC a couple of years ago, and even when I lived in Austin for 13 years, I didn't really have like a great group of TTRPG enthusiasts that I knew around there. And even if I did, my free time is so limited that it just is a logistic impossibility at this point, I think.
Yeah, I've played a little bit of a lot of games, that kind of deal. I have a lot of people that I talk about like RPG systems with, and they're like, have you tried this one? And I'm like, no. Have you tried this one? And they're like, no. And we do that a lot. Like that back and forth happens a lot because there's just so many. And it's always mind-blowing to me the people who have found time to and are able to be like, yeah, this year I tried 12 new systems. And I'm like, so you were running 12 games at the same time? How did you do that? What do you mean? I get on one system, I play it for a bunch of games, and then it's done. It's amazing to me.
Yeah. I wish I would. I do miss it. I do miss playing in person. That I think the last time I played D&D in person, not counting like our live shows, was when we did the Tiny Heist season of Dimension 20, which was truly, I think, a revelation for us. But it was also just like, I don't know, we realized like, hey, it's actually really, really, really fun to just do this around a table with, snacks and stuff.
What's your, if you have one, what's your trick for persuading somebody who might be intimidated from RPGs because they don't want to, they're afraid of improv and they are intimidated by math rocks? What is your advice for like getting somebody to join the cult?
I think that a lot of the times I think a big part of it is the social community. I think the sense of community, I think is one of the very cool things I have seen. I have done D&D in a castle a couple of times, and both times it was people from all over the world who had come and obviously didn't know each other. And the fact that they came together in kind of a found family unit, even if it was just for that 1 week, I always find that very, very cool. And I think that that's a big part of it. And I think that everybody has the ability to improv, because I think everybody was able to play when they were a kid, and that's basically improv. You're ad-libbing a story, and a lot of it is character based. I think if somebody can throw themselves into a character and really think about what that character would do, that's one of the things that I try to do when we do Taz, is try to really get into the character and make decisions based on what you think that character would do, and be honest to the character. And I think that everybody finds that interesting, being able to put on a mask, put on a costume, become somebody else. It kind of highlights things that are inside you that you can bring to the fore.
I also think that there's a lot of really great gentle on-ramps in like one-page RPGs. Grant Howitt, who has done Honey Heist and 1,000 other one-page RPGs, and like things like Super Normal that we've done before, and even things like A Quiet Year, which is like a really straightforward, wonderful like map building RPG where you're not asking for a big commitment. They don't have to build up like a whole character backstory. The mechanics are usually like you roll a d6 and whatever, if it's a 5, it's this, if it's a 3, it's that. So it keeps the mechanics pretty light, and the story is, it's one session, 2 to 3 hours. And like, it's a really good kind of way to get into RPGs for people who are like, I don't know, it seems very like overwhelming and intimidating. And you're like, it's one sheet of paper with rules, and that's all you need to know. And I think that's a really great way to get started.
I come at it from a different way. I think that you can get someone to play D&D pretty fast. I love John Bernthal does a podcast, and he had Deborah Ann Wall on. They were both in Daredevil together, and he was asking her about D&D. He'd never played, and she was like, "Do you want to play right now?" She's like, "Okay, you go into a forest, you wander around." And he's like, immediately just kind of like started pitching him like a scenario, and then it's like, "Okay, what do you do?" And he's like, "Well, I guess I look around for," and you see it like instantly, and it's the like magic moment of D&D or any RPG thing that happens like the first time someone who's never played has an idea or like a thing they want to do, and they say it out loud, and then the GM says, "Okay, yes, you do that. Here's how the rules interpret it. That thing that you said, it's possible." And that moment of realization that they have of like, "Oh wait, I can do anything," is the sales pitch for the thing. So I think like
there's no wrong
there's no wrong thing. Like anything you can come up with, if the game is flexible enough. And for all the crap D&D gets, like, it's pretty flexible. We've been doing it for a long, long time. And seldom and few are the moments where we've been, I think, truly stymied by an idea and haven't been able to kind of like sidestep into some sort of mechanical interpretation of it. But I think that you scare a lot. I do think it scares people. I do think you scare a lot of people off when you start saying terms like improv, like you know, you got to come up with a character. You got to be in. I've got this whole, you know, plot Bible, this rich world that I've been developed. Like, no. Just get them in a room with a monster or a trap in it and say, what do you do? And then they'll come up with an idea and you say, that's right. You can do that. You can do anything. And then the rest is like pretty easy at that
It's
point.
why starting with Lost Mines of Phandelver, that's why they put it in that box.
Beginner box,
like, you walk into a cave. There's stuff in the cave. It's not like, this kingdom is in turmoil. There's a civil war being fought between... It's just like, there's a cave and a door. How do you open the door? Okay, cool, right? It's very...
I love the first level adventures are all pretty much across the board that, right? Like once you get to like when you get into you know, Horde of the Dragon Queen or like any of like the higher level stuff, like they know that they've got you at that point and they can like really explore the chromatic dragon flight. I think that's actually a WoW thing, but like they can really take their time because they got their hooks in you already. But the first level adventures is always like, oh no, a mummy's tomb. There's gold in there. Go for it. And that's like, I don't know.
A stinky mushroom. What do you do?
A witch took your brother. Uh-oh.
Oh
no. I love those. Those are my favorites. And I think that they are a really, really, really great resource for, you know, first time players.
Just don't do what I did. My friend Ort wanted to learn. He said, you know, I maybe I'd like to learn to play D&D. So I sent him the guidebook and the monster manual. And I said, read these.
No.
And after 2 days, he sent me a text going, I can never do this. So
don't give him homework
that way. Yeah.
I love the books. I adore the books.
I do too.
But if you're trying to get someone to play, there is an app for that. And I'm sorry to say that on the library thing, but there is an app for that does all the math and stuff for you. And so that's sort of a great starting point.
You should always look at those books as reference books and not textbooks. Like you don't have to study them.
Now you're getting into some choppy waters, my friend.
That's how I feel.
I am pro app easy. After I got my undergrad, I fled STEM so fast.
As you mentioned, I got a BFA, so I'm right there with you, Aaron.
So I'm looking through my remaining questions and looking at the chat questions, and there's a bit of overlap. So for our audience, if I misword your question, I apologize. I'm sort of like doing this sort of Cronenbergian monster of your question and what I had intended. There's this great scene in Moscow on the Hudson with Robin Williams where his character tries to buy coffee and is absolutely overwhelmed with the choices. With so many directions you could take the Adventure Zone or even just any of your creative endeavors, but in particular the Adventure Zone, what helps you move past decision paralysis? Please share this wisdom.
It's a great question. It's a moving target always.
Mine's character based. I really try to. Listen. Be honest. When we first started, we did everything we could to be agents of chaos. We did everything we could to just, you show us a trope, we would pee on it. I mean, just it was just.
Or accidentally stumble onto it and then try and fix it and do better later.
But I think as we went along, we started realizing that we had more of an obligation for storytelling. And I think if you're storytelling the characters in that story, it's like I said a few minutes ago, I think for me, the way to try to avoid paralysis is to think what your character would do. And I'm also the worst about making impulsive moves, but it keeps people guessing.
Sure.
And it leads to major changes in narrative.
Right.
I would say in life as well as in Adventure Zone, I have found that when I find myself overwhelmed by choice or overwhelmed by anything, talking about it with, like, if it's in my life with Teresa, if it's Adventure Zone with Dad and Griffin and Justin, because I think our best work
we talk about life stuff too. That was an absolutely outrageous way to put that.
whatever.
Just truly outrageous.
But I think that some of our best stuff has always come out of like discussion between the four of us finding the version of the thing that we're all four excited about. And I think that's the other thing, right? Of in any creative endeavor, it's really nice because like we don't have like deadlines, we're not all of the deadlines are deadlines we plan that we set and we're like, yeah, so this, this arc is ending. We're starting a new one. We need to figure out what it is. But there's no like manager boss man yelling at us to like get something on his desk by Friday. And so for us, it's really like the excitement comes first. It's like, oh, I had this idea, it sprang into my head almost like fully there. And the energy I have behind it lets me know like that's what I want to develop. That's what I want to work on.
It really is something that we've had to like figure out over time. I think that the times where the show has not worked as well has been when we have pursued some ephemeral goal of like, well, maybe the show would be better or more dramatic if we went this way with it, or like what about this narrative idea? I bet it could hit really, really hard. And I don't know, these days for the past, especially the last like 3 or 4 seasons has just been like, what's fun? Like, what is fun? What is a fun thing for the four of us to do together? Like, let's just do a season where all the characters are public domain and you're trying to kill Dracula. That was literally the sales pitch for an entire season of our show. Yeah. And the only show that we do live anymore is Taz versus Dracula. And it was just like the 3 of us try to kill Dracula. Like that's the pitch. Travis's Abnormal season was similarly kind of just like, I have this fun idea and I think we could have a good time doing it. And we did. And the same for the season that we're doing right now. That has very much been like, we know each other and what we like and what we can like really take and run with at this point. And so that is, I think, hugely unhelpful for all the people watching this.
Yeah,
the answer is just talk to your brothers and dad about it. That's how you get past choice paralysis. Ask your brothers and dad.
Has there been any talk about translating any of the other campaigns that that follow the balance arc into graphic novel format?
Loose discussion. Dad likes to do this thing when people ask us this question where he's like, I don't know. There's not plans. There's not plans percolating. I apologize for my father. He doesn't understand how obsessive people can get about like a wink and a nudge here. There's not anything happening right now. We've talked about it and have some ideas of what would be cool.
Well, that's all he's asking.
But that doesn't mean
that's not what you were doing, Dad. Like if someone asked you if you'd ever murdered someone and you made the face that you made, they would lock you up in jail immediately. Yeah. They'd be like, you saw the face he made. He's definitely murdered someone.
The fact of the matter is we finished, writing our part of the last Taz Balance graphic novel, a few months ago at this point, maybe like the beginning of 2025, late 2024. Which actually, it's July, so maybe that's not super recently in the world. It feels like super recently because we are not full-time writers.
Yeah.
At all, even a little bit. Like it is a thing that we all really enjoy doing, and also we have to find a way to fit it into. When Travis said we don't have deadlines earlier, I almost blacked out at my desk.
I did
because
too.
We have deadlines literally every single day.
What I meant was that we don't. We make the deadlines are because they're projects we set. Yes.
But we do make a lot of stuff. And so trying to fit I'm currently writing a choose your own adventure book that I'm working on the editor of the Taz graphic novels, Ben Wilgus, on, and it's like great. It's super fun. Always wanted to do it. Really creatively energizing, and also like finding the time to do it is pretty tough because we do make a ton of other stuff at the same time. So I think there's there's certainly interest in there, but it's also a question of like, okay, well, what are we going to stop doing?
Yeah.
In order to put a new project on the burner.
But maybe, I don't know.
Maybe, but
Wink. Huh?
One of the things that I learned many years and I continually relearn is whenever playing Dungeons and Dragons or pursuing any kind of creative endeavor, learning that failure and mistakes are not always terrible. Can you share any mistakes or failures on the journey to where you are now with the Adventure Zone that you're either proud of or grateful that happened?
I think that, to maybe a little too on the nose answer your question, the fear of like, oh, but if I attempt to do this thing in the game and it doesn't work, like I fail the roll, that's bad. So I should only attempt things that my character is good at, so that like it would, and like that kind of like not seeing the narrative as a whole and looking at it like a game that I was trying to win at D&D.
Yeah.
Like I think that there's many moments that would have been, I don't know. I like the way like balance turned out. I love balance and I'm so proud of Magnus and everything. But there were many moments in that where I was like, the thing that makes the most sense to do is this, not this other thing I just thought of, but the thing that makes the most sense, and like trying to think about it as very much like
meta gaming.
Yeah, I want to win. And being afraid of like failing a roll and that breaking the situation or whatever, but like, well, now we can't move forward because I got a 10, right? Like that kind of thing is something I really kind of learned from, and seeing it, especially now being on the other side and DMing more and saying like, I see that you getting that 10 gave me a great opportunity to build on that with this moment happening instead of punishing you with it.
Yeah.
Right now, like you've given me a chance to move forward with this thing and give you more story because you didn't succeed on that role.
And along similar lines, one of the things that I think we have had to learn and that we're still trying to perfect is the fact that the decisions your character would make and the knowledge your character has is not necessarily the decisions Clint, Travis, Justin, Griffin would make, or the knowledge they would have to make a decision that is what your character would do and not necessarily what you would do. And I think that's something that we've gotten better at, but I think it's still something we need to remind ourselves about every once in a while to say, hey, listen, keep it focused, keep it on what the character would do.
In terms of creative failures, we've certainly had those. But I also I think it's weird to regret those or anything, because I think we've learned a lot from everything that we've done. And I don't know, I think if we let that kind of get in our heads or make us stop trying to do stuff, then we literally would not be sitting here talking to you right now. You would be doing an interview with, like a real author or something.
Yeah. Like a Brandon Sanderson or something,
Yeah. So I don't know. We are, I think, pretty decent poster boys for just making stuff and trying stuff. And that is the origins of our product. And I think it has been our guiding star our entire kind of careers.
I will say, as far as that goes, the one thing is my own personal reaction to that, to feedback and stuff that I put a lot of work into. And the thing about Adventure Zone is, as we've moved from arc to arc, they've been different. It's like this one is fantasy, this one's sci-fi, this one's a murder mystery, this one, right? And not everything you make is for everybody, even within your own audience. And letting it bother you when something is, oh, well, this one's for this person and this one's for this person. That's something I think everybody can let go of. That everything's not for everyone, yes. And that's okay.
So we're going to move into the audience Q&A. There's still a couple of like balancing questions that that we already have, but this is kind of a combo question. Let's see, what advice might you give to would-be new content creators who might struggle with self-doubt or feel they might not belong in a particular space? And how did queer representation become part of the show?
Two wildly different questions. Let's break them into small groups.
I think so. As far as the queer representation stuff, right? I think it became one, for whatever reason, and you should never expect anyone to do this emotional labor, but our audience was very kind and very like open with us in their feedback about like different kinds of representation. And I think it came from seeing people see themselves in characters and like seeing stuff resonate with people, but also just like as you're thinking about characters and stories, if you let go of like, well, they're like me, if you let go of that idea and just like imagine it all,
yeah,
like the world is diverse, so your world should be diverse.
It was
right?
entirely it was entirely audience driven. There's like there is a large a part of the Mabim Bam listenership and the Maximum Fun listenership when Mabim Bam joined the network, who were queer folks who gave us lots and lots of feedback on Taz, and they were super patient and super like Travis said, like more kind and gentle than frankly we deserved. And I think we had sort of an overwhelming desire to kind of try and do right by that, and did did our best, and had a mixed track record at trying to stick the landing on that stuff. But it is a thing for which I am extremely grateful, because we have gotten so much feedback from so many of our listeners and our fans that that representation and our attempts to include them have been pretty meaningful to them. So that is sort of the origins of that.
As far as the imposter syndrome and the space thing goes, I think that one, if you are sincerely interested in something and approaching a space with like good intentions and wanting to like be a part, something like, be it comic books, video games, RPGs, sports, something nerdy like sports, whatever it might be, if you're sincerely like interested and enthusiastic about that thing, you do belong there, right? Like it's an interest that you have. And I think that if you get the feeling of like, ooh, maybe I won't be welcome there, I think that's all the more reason that you should be there, right?
Yes.
Because like everyone should be welcome there. And if you do it, think of the people that then see you doing it, that then makes them feel more welcome there because you were doing it, and how that's going to grow that inclusive kind of feel to it. Like, I think since we started Adventure Zone over like the last decade, I think I've seen so much growth in the RPG and actual play community as far as like inclusion goes. And I think it's only made it so much better as far as like creativity and quality of like the stories being told and the fun that's been having, and like the audience that hadn't seen themselves represented before that now feels like a part of the community. And I think it's been such a powerful and positive growth to have, that I hope it continues.
I also, my like, I don't know, mantra is like, you can make a thing and no one sees it, and it is still a virtuous and good thing to do. Like,
Yeah.
if you want to make a podcast, buy our book. You'll be the 13th person to do so. No, if you want to make a podcast, do it. It's so easy, and then no one's got to hear it. If you do it and you're like, this is nothing, or get the book from the library. Yes, thank you so much, Zoe.
We get $20 every time someone checks it out from the library.
That's
so
true.
Either way is
That's
fine.
true. Actually, the number of like drafts for books or graphic novels or Taz seasons or whatever that I've got socked away in a folder on my computer is it's so big at this point. The number of like songs I've written that I've stayed up till 1 and then listened to it the next morning and be like, that's nothing. There's so many of them, but also like I learned stuff from making all that stuff. And even if there wasn't the pragmatic value of like, I'm now better at this thing because I tried this thing and failed. Like, even aside from that, it is still good to make a thing, and it feels good to make stuff. And so you can make a thing and not feel this pressure of like, well, this is my dream career, so this has got to work out. Like, don't put that pressure on yourself. Just if you want to make something, make it. You'll find out if you're good at it. You'll find out if you like doing it. And maybe it won't work out, but then maybe the 20th one will be something where you're like, hey, this is actually, I've done this enough times now to know that this can be something. So I think just make stuff. There's really no
have fun.
If it has to get, if it's in there and it has to get out, that's the best stuff you will ever create. The stuff that has to get out.
Yeah.
Because
or it's a xenomorph, because that also happens.
Yeah, that could be kind of cool too. But I mean, if it's in there, that's the best motivation to write something, create something, paint something, draw something, whatever it is you want to do. Is you've got this thing inside of you, and let it out, and it's for you. I think one of the boys touched on it earlier when we first started doing the Adventure Zone. The whole purpose was to make each other laugh. It was just like the dinner table when they were growing up.
Right.
Let's see who can crack up the family most, and we were enjoying each other's company. And I think that gets picked up on. But I think it was something that made us happy. So if you want to write something or anything else, create it because it makes you happy. And then if somebody else gets it, terrific. You'll be getting interviewed by Aaron.
Yeah, but we're going to try to get to all the questions that we've got. So I'm going to do these in order. So thematically, we might bounce around a little bit.
We'll answer quicker, I promise.
Right, let's see. Any tips on gaming with family?
Yeah, my quick communication is key in any gaming group, no matter who's in it, because like you will feel moments of friction, or on the other side you'll feel moments that really work, and talking about it and being like, hey, that was amazing, like that was so much fun, or like, okay, pause, it feels like this moment's not really working, or like, hey, what's the... And having that kind of open communication allows for great problem solving and acknowledging when something is working really well. Every gaming group needs to communicate about how everything's going.
My computer keeps freezing up, and I apologize.
Oh, I thought you were just listening really intently.
Yeah, I'm really. Hello. It's great. It's fun. If you get along with your family good, then you should try it. I think it's great. I think it's a cool way to talk and work through stuff sometimes, is to step into the most recent season of The Rehearsal with Nathan Fielder is about, I mean, it's a show entirely about putting on guises to like work your way through situations, and this season specifically is like, it's actually way easier to have conversations about stuff and feel like you have permission to communicate with each other if you're just being a character. And so, like, I don't know, in a really roundabout way, I do think it is. I do think that there is something there.
Very cool. What is each of yours favorite childhood book series?
I literally just saw someone reference Animorphs in the chat, and that's certainly that's probably it for me. Or honestly, the Choose Your Own Adventure books. Read them all. Big fan of those, and the Goosebumps Choose Your Own Adventure books. That whole bubble.
I was really into the Happy Hollisters.
Oh yeah,
and Tom Swift Jr. and the Hardy Boys. Loved Dr. Seuss when I was little, and then when I was 10, I found a grocery bag full of Doc Savage novels,
and it ruined him.
And it completely changed my life. So, Doc Savage for me.
When I was growing up, I read a book series called The Seifert Saga by David Feintuch. First book is Midshipman's Hope, about a young man who, via an accident during space travel, becomes like an 18-year-old captain of this massive starship with like thousands of people on it that he has suddenly become responsible for. And it's all about like honor and duty and like learning to take responsibility for your actions and what all of that means, and also dealing with your own mistakes. And I loved that series so much that I bought a full second copy of the entire series, one for me to read and one to hold on to for when I had kids, and they reached an age old enough that I would be able to gift it to them.
Awesome. As someone who is new to DMing and is very much intimidated and keeps referring to the guide, what are some tips you have to sort of ease through that pressure?
I remember a conversation I had with some of the folks, Jeremy Crawford, Kate Welch, some really amazing DMs who also happen to have worked on 5th edition and written most of the books for it. And the first rule of D&D, like in the book, the first rule you come to is that the DM is right. And I think that it can be really intimidating if you're a DM who doesn't know the rules. But as we've said, it's a very flexible system. And if the rules are getting in the way, if you worrying about the rules are getting in the way of you telling a story and playing a game that your players are happy with, then ignore that rule. Once again, I think it comes down to an expectation that the players have, because sometimes you have players who are like, I love, like, the rules make the game fun, and adhering to that structure is what I look for. Then you might not be the right DM for them. But if you have players who are like, listen, I just want to tell a great story and have fun, sitting there and playing with people, then don't worry about if you get every rule right. Worry about having fun and telling a good story.
I come at it from a different approach. Like, I used to toe that line pretty hard, but the more we do it, the more I think that if you treat the rules like a system that you translate player choices through, then it is at its most powerful. And that's,
I think we're saying the same thing. Yes.
Maybe we're saying the same thing. I think the tendency that I and all of us have had to really, really work to get out of our system is as the DM, like making decisions about where the thing's gonna go, about where the story's gonna go, about what the outcome is, about what the solution is. You have to find a way, my specific way through this puzzle, when like the game is about, it's supposed to be about the players. It's supposed to be about their characters. The other main rule in D&D is be a fan of the characters of the players. And that means not deciding how things are going to work out for them. It means listening to their ideas and then seeing if they work, and respecting both the decisions that the players make and the outcomes of the roles. And like, you can shed as much of that as you want to, but if you're only shedding that stuff in the interest of getting to this preordained conclusion that you want to get to, it can work. It's so much more fun to do it the other way. And I think the hit rate on doing it the other way, even when it gets messy, like, it's still a better experience for the players, because they don't feel like, oh, I'm doing this wrong, I'm not getting to the thing they want me to get to. And you're not stressing as the DM, like, how am I going to get them where I want them to get to? Instead, you just kind of like see what they decide, and there is some gentle cajoling that will be required here and there. But I think it takes a much, much, much lighter touch than most people who are kind of like new to DMing would expect.
And I take a completely different approach. And my approach is I will appoint one person in the party to be the rules lawyer, and whatever they say goes unless I disagree. And then I have one word, and it's
That's Dad's approach, which is
That's
a special
my
approach for when the maybe rules of D&D have not penetrated the gray matter, despite being inundated with it.
Well, there's less and less gray matter every year, and so
my brain's not shrinking.
Sure, yeah, Dad, sure, you got it, man.
Next question we've got, with the rise of celebrity DMs and actual play, and some individuals that in space are becoming near household names, such as the Brendan Lee Mulligans, the Matthew Mercers, yourselves included, what do you see as your role in helping shape and boost this genre since the Adventure Zone premiered?
Great question that we're probably going to give 3 dramatically different answers to.
I'll go first, and then we'll see if Griffin or Dad has a different direction that they come at it from. I see it as like I was kind of touching on earlier, right? So Adventure Zone came out and Critical Role came out, I think, like within 3 months, right? So they debuted basically at the same time. And I think they're really good separate kind of highlights of what RPGs can be, of like when it is operating with like, this is how the game is played, and this is how you like tell the story and do the thing, and like this is like the intention of D&D. That's Critical Role. And Adventure Zone is like, get some people together, have some fun, and like, you know, just have a good time, and like maybe a story comes out of it. Maybe it's just a good time with friends, but it is what you want it to be, right? I think, and
I also think both things can also be the other one. Also, I don't want to shortchange either of us.
No, not at all. But I'm just saying, like, as far as like major takeaways from people that I've heard tell, is like people who have listened to the Adventure Zone who had never played D&D before because it seemed very overwhelming, were like, oh, you can just have fun with it, even if you're not good at it. I think that's the thing that the difference between us and Brendan Lee Mulligan and Matt Mercer is we're not good at it when we started. They are people who have spent their whole lives being talented at this thing.
Yeah. Anytime anyone, and I'm not saying that you have done this, Aaron, but like when people, some people frame this conversation as like a competitive thing, when it's like, first of all, I don't think we can, like those two specific GMs and honestly, everyone involved with Crit Roll and, you know, Dimension 20 and Worlds Beyond Number are like such God-touched turbo geniuses at this thing, at this field. I feel like our place in the industry is, I think, important. I think that like I'm super proud of the work that we do and that we did in those early days when the, you know, actual play space was still very much in its early years. But I also, I don't know, I love seeing folks come out who are like so good at this.
Yeah,
so good and so brilliant. And we've had a chance to play with a lot of those folks, and it is a joy, and it is a true delight. And I certainly don't spend a lot of time thinking about like what our place in the ecosystem is. Our stuff is, I think, much more internally facing. Like we have the ability to kind of just try and make stuff for each other, and hopefully our audience digs it too. But it is, I mean, it's truly, it's very, very cool to even be like in the same conversation as you know, those folks.
Very cool.
I can remember when they were first coming up. Mulligan and Mercer came to me crying. Oh, Mr. McElroy, how can we make it in this business?
He's just joking.
Yes.
Wink. Brennan did make the mistake of telling me once that the success of Adventure Zone, he used that to convince the people at College Humor that like having an actual play thing was a viable option. He made the mistake of telling me that. So the number of times that I have asked him like, "What's it like to know you owe me everything?"
Travis makes Brennan call him Papa, and I think that's weird.
Yeah.
We're like gonna.
But that's not related to D&D in any way.
Sure. I'd love to do any other question.
All right, next question. So, Griffin, you are playing Pokemon TCGB. What is your rarest pull so far?
I'm so glad you asked. I have a couple of those like gold crown cards. I have one of the. I have 2 gold crown Mewtwo's. Some decent shiny 2-stars. I'm happy to say I've completed every set at this point, at least the the diamond rarity to 4 diamond rarity cards, all the way up through EV Grove. I've had some pretty bad luck getting pulled.
I would love to do any other question.
Yeah, sure. You've earned the right to say that.
Thank you. To echo my brother's statement.
All right, in turning the Adventure Zone balance into graphic novels, were there any moments or scenes that surprised you in how they translated into a new format or into medium?
I think we had to. One of the big things we decided early on was that we were not going to be characters in this story. Griffin was, because he was the dungeon master. But if you listen to Balance and listen to the Adventure Zone, it's us part of the time and the characters part of the time. And I think we made a big decision right off the bat to exclude us from making an appearance in the story. And it was suggested, and it was talked about at one point and subsequently. But I think that was a big decision that we made, where it was going to be their story, not the story of us telling their story.
Which was the correct decision.
Yes,
for me, there's plenty of things I could point to of like, I don't know if that will work, or like, oh, that works so much better. But for me, like, the surprises that I remember the most is like there were some like full page like illustrations that Carrie did, or like a page turn illustration Carrie did, or something where I just be like, holy crap, like that works so well. Like there were moments that like gave me chills because she drew it with such power and like beauty that I was like, oh my God, that hits so hard. I think it's like the last panel in the first book of the director of being like, welcome to the Bureau of Balance. And like, I was like, oh my God, this is so good. It made me so happy just to see like her amazing, like I was constantly blown away by Carrie's amazing talent.
Yeah. So we've got about 5 minutes, so I'm going to aim for about three or four more questions.
Yeah, we'll shoot through them. Can we do this one from Nora?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Yep. Let me find it. Sorry. Let's see. Where's my guide? Is it? It is. Where's my guy?
I can read it. I have it right here.
Please. I'm not seeing it.
I'm Felix. I'm 11. I'm starting a family podcast, but we aren't as funny as you guys. Plus, my sibling and I fight all the time because they are a teenager. Do you have any tips for us? So first of all, one of the things you need to know, growing up, Justin and I fought all the time. Justin and I got on each other's nerves constantly. And that is not an indication of how well you actually get along or how much you like them and they like you. It is a thing that happens. And it is like, I watch my kids do it constantly, where like they will be tired and cranky and they have so little impact on the world except on each other. And that is where they will vent. And it just happens. And your brother's a teenager, so he's kind of a jerk.
Yeah.
As far as the being funny thing.
Natural.
As far as the being funny thing, don't worry about that. Right? Because I don't think anybody has a good gauge for how funny they really are. Because being funny and making jokes and comedy is so other focused, right? It's about if it lands for the other person. Yeah. Like there are comedians that I have loved in my life that like I guarantee you when they're just like talking to people in their normal life, people will be like, oh, okay, that guy's kind of bland. But when they're like doing it, when they're like on in front of an audience, they're nailing it, right? And so don't worry about being funny. Worry about making a thing that you like and making a thing that you're having fun doing.
And in 2 years, you will be a teenager, Felix, and you'll get it.
You'll get it.
You'll get it.
We've got one from Joe, age 7. What is your favorite episode you've ever recorded?
Good question. Good question.
My favorite episode of My Brother and Me is easy. And it's one where we were on the red carpet for the premiere of Escape to Margaritaville. And Justin and Griffin and I were attempting to interview like celebrities who were coming down the red carpet. And the three of us are so awkward and weird in those kinds of scenarios. And like it is watching three human beings unravel in an audio format.
Yeah.
And it makes me laugh to this day.
I'm going to say the second episode, I think, of the 11th hour arc, when I got to reveal to Justin, Travis, and Dad that we were doing a Groundhog Day time loop thing. I worked really hard on figuring out how that was going to work in a D&D environment. And that moment of realization from them of like what the thing was so immensely satisfying.
And I'm not going to go with my usual one. So I'm going to go with one of our live shows. We did a Christmas show that was wall to wall, constant yucks. And it's where I got the biggest round of applause I ever got for a joke. And that was the mistletoes joke.
That was a good one.
Yeah. It was a robot. He launched missiles out of his toes.
Yeah.
For Adventure Zone, my favorite episode is in Pedals to the Metal, where I got to, as Magnus, jump from battle wagon to battle wagon. It was such a Magnus thing. Yeah.
Awesome. I think we've got time for just 2 more questions. So I'm going to go with, is there a moment from any arc that sticks with you, whether good or bittersweet?
Too many to count.
Okay, fair. All right, second question. Are there any books, movies, or other media of stories that have impacted how you tell stories?
JRPGs, largely Final Fantasy, especially, was a huge kind of like narrative influence, I think, for how I structure those early seasons, specifically Balance, and some of the later ones too. That is the bulk of the stories I consumed as a child were SNES, PlayStation 1 era Japanese role playing games. So that is
and I've been trying to copy how Steven Spielberg and George Lucas did Indiana Jones, all the Indiana Jones movies, which I think
that's
are
so
just
obvious. Yeah.
Great story.
Mystery Science Theater 3000, Mel Brooks, and Mighty Boosh. I would say the three of those shaped my humor in, I don't know, good or bad, undefinable. And my favorite bittersweet moment, I'll say it because he's not here, so I'll talk about him. There's a moment in Stolen Century when Justin just says the word "who."
Yeah.
And it is
really good stuff from Juice, realizing a lot of the cashing a lot of the big checks we were writing during that arc.
Yeah, nailed it.
I think we're just about out of time. For our audience members who asked questions that we were not able to get to, it is my sincere apology that time is linear. I was not part of that committee.
I'll answer Emily's real quick. If you could pitch American Taskmaster, who would host? John Hodgman should host.
Great.
John Hodgman would be amazing as the host.
I love Terry Pratchett, and there was a Trolls 3. We weren't in it.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
an easy one to answer.
This has been a delight. It has been the highlight of my year so far. Thank you all so much for joining us. I hope our audience had as much a good time as we had. If our audiences wanted to contact you, or where are you in the internet other than obviously your podcasts?
All of our stuff is at themcroy.family. All of our podcast, video stuff, live shows. We got some coming up later this week. Merch, whatever. It's all there, and there's ways to contact us there as well.
One last thing. So because this is part of summer reading, Attending this program does get you a prize entry into our prize raffles.
Us too?
Yes, actually, if you'd like, send us an email.
Okay, we'll see.
Yes, and definitely participate at your home libraries, but as well as Highland Park, you don't have to be a patron to join ours. And again, much thanks to Evanston, Glencoe, and Deerfield Public Libraries for collaborating with us to make this happen.
And pay your fines.
Come on.
Come on, man.
Just go in and leave $100 bill. You don't even need fines. Just give them $100 bill. It's $100.
Pay it forward. Pay it forward.
They need this.
We're
the best they can get. We're the best they can afford. Give them more money.
We are fine free, but we do take donations. Thank you.
Let them get real authors. Come on.
Well, I thank you all so very much. Clint, I'm now once again inspired to review my collection of the Doc Savage pulps and Flashman. If you've never read Pirates, also by George McDonald Fraser,
with a Y.
Yeah. Yes.
Do your Doc Savage books come with a sort of peaty aroma that our dads did? I think the bag he got had a skunked batch. I don't know if that's true as well.
I enlarged my collection recently with an independent bookstore closed down recently, and so I filled some blank spaces.
And you didn't tell me.
Nice.
Aaron, we're done.
Yep.
We're done.
Very good. Thank you. I will find some way to make amends. You've all been great. I wish you all the best, and level up your library.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Good night.
Bye.